Hey, welcome to a little bit of a Warside review. I just have some AIs and a custom map I made run through and my total thoughts about the game. It's an Advance Wars-like game if you've ever played Advance Wars. As you can see here, rather than sitting on the city and capturing it based on your unit's HP, and if you get to 20, so getting to capture twice at full HP, you get to take it. Instead, you just attack the building. Over time, it gets to 10 health. It's a pretty interesting idea, considering the fact, like, you might think, hey, why can't I just, like, attack it with a tank or whatever other unit and just win from there? Warside is a demonstration as to why this decision was probably not made. You'll see a little bit in the how the AI behaves, and you'll quickly learn it's not as good as it sounds. Because in games like this, if you can grind out a better economy, you can get a better unit count and slowly push your lead with better value. Especially in this game because, well, the goal is to take out every unit on the board. There are very few missions that are like capture this particular objective. So none of these HQ caps, it's just destroy everything on the board, which can get a little tedious every once in a while. There are some other alternative missions which I did enjoy. But as you can see here, we'll see orange, they attack the building, which generates some value. If you let it stand, they're going to generate too much value, so you attack it. The AI really likes building expensive units. Not sure why that is. But you'll see, attack to flip, bomber, so that they can't build their units to try and get that advantage. They're going to flip it over. They're going to do the same thing. And this is pretty much how the AI is going to behave. Get the first strike to generate the value. And it's not necessarily wrong for the AI to operate like this. Because, like I said, if you generate more value than your opponent, you'll build better units. Like right there, that attack there. That got them 20,000 advantage because their unit lived, their opponents didn't. Their jet fighter can now take out the bombers. Yes, it lost 30% value because it took 3 damage. Speaking of damage, the nice thing about this is that you can just go back and you can spend the money to heal rather than sitting it in a town and just passively healing. That means none of your normal cities can heal like they are in Advanced Wars. To heal a plane, you'd have to go to the airport, which is right, it's hidden by Blaze right there. If you can see my cursor, yeah. Which sounds nice, but you have to remember you're supposed to try and generate value out of your units, and healing it might sound like a great idea, but if it takes 2 turns to come back, that's 2 turns forward, you've lost 4 turns of that unit. Or you could have like a 1 HP blocker, which can prevent your opponent from doing other attacks, which can get you a better setup. So the heal mechanic is bad. It was very, very rare. Where I was like, yeah, I feel like I should use this. It was more beneficial to do that. Just use the blocker. The soundtrack to this game is pretty good. They have a contact mode to where you can block the audio because they wanted to copyright it. I don't think this is a smart decision for your game because, as you can hear, this audio, as nice as my voice is, isn't that entertaining. They have been doing patches periodically for whenever they notice any issues in the game, which is pretty nice. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is the campaign overall. If you are familiar with Advance Wars by Web or other Advance War games, you will know like tank chains are pretty good because, well, if you don't know what a tank chain is, you build a tank, you move it forward, and you build a tank behind it. So if you attack the furthest most tank, there's a tank behind it to help defend it. And in general, you will eventually just win because they're attacking into your reinforcements constantly. In this game, it is probably one of the best strategies you could be doing because you're constantly fighting tanks And this game doesn't have anything like mechs, so the only way to really combat it is with more tanks, which is a $9,000 unit. So you just kind of don't build anything your first turn, and then you try and get to 9,000 a turn, build your tanks, and go forward. And that works for every map except for 2 on the first half of the campaign, the first map, I should say. Those other 2 are just a really high difficulty spike. I flipped over from going from brutal, the most difficult, and just being able to sweep through, to having struggles on casual, just because the maps are already so large and grindy, and with how the powers operate within the game, which I guess I should also talk about with the campaign in mind. It just becomes so grindy that if you have to restart, it would be like an hour to beat a mission, which can be fun, but if you have to like restart and the mission was grindy and you don't enjoy that kind of gameplay, it becomes unfun very fast. That being said, I'll talk about the powers for a little bit. The powers do feel relatively satisfying to use. They are kind of nice. I will note that any power you use, you get a 1-turn effect. So the guy I have up front, Jackson, EMP blast, you do like a 2x2 plus, and any unit, including friendly units, are disabled. They can't move. They can still attack, and if they get attacked, still retaliate. But your opponents, on the other hand, usually have an AoE effect that will last multiple rounds, some of which will cause debuffs, and you won't. There's no clear indication as to how long that debuff will occur. A lot of them is if you just walk out the next turn, it'll be there. But because the powers last for like 3 turns, and you're in this grindy generation value, by the time that power expires, it'll come up again, and they'll do another AoE, so you'll just constantly be going into it, which reinforces the fact that you have to use value, because if you clump up your units, you do any sort of artillery play to help back that up, they'll just target that, and now you lose so much value because those are more expensive than tanks, which makes things even grindier. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on Warside. I think it was a really good experiment. I'm glad they tried a lot of what they tried. Maybe just needed a little bit longer in the oven. I've seen some complaints online, like the game's incomplete. No, they've done, at least from my experience, a lot of the issues I've been hearing, I didn't necessarily experience, other than the gameplay that I was kind of complaining about. So, if you've played Warside or thinking about it, keep those in mind. Still, I would say, worth some time to consider. And if you have other complaints or anything I missed, hit me up. Let's see how this Warside game goes.